Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Randy Jones from Financial Growth Partners, member of the BES committee, the chamber, and the board. I'm so glad that you guys are able to join us today. We have an exciting presentation, a special guest. Can everybody see my screen just by wave of hands? Outstanding. Cool. So today we're going to be talking about the Greater Reston's 2022 economic outlook. We have our special guest, Alex Thalacker from the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and he's going to give us a ton of information.
Thank you so much, for the invitation to speak today, and thanks to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules this morning to attend. I was presented with this opportunity. I thought it would be really a fantastic chance to give you some of the insight into what we're seeing from a commercial development perspective in Reston, but also just to give you a bit more insight into the services of the Fairfax County EDA and really how we help support the businesses here, not only in Fairfax County, but the Northern Virginia region, nationally and globally. So if you'll just give me a minute to share my screen here. So let me just start by providing a quick agenda for today. Today, I'll be going over, like I was alluding to, just a quick overview about Fairfax County, some of the business statistics of the area, and really what we're seeing kind of from a demographic perspective as well. Then I'll be getting into the Northern Virginia office market, really what we've seen over Q1 2022 and what we're really kind of projecting from a development pipeline, specifically in Reston and then other areas of the county as well. And then I will get into a really unique tool, and I'm very excited to showcase it. This is the first opportunity we're actually getting to show this tool to a wider audience through our market intelligence team. But essentially what I'll be covering there are development projects that are currently going on throughout the Silver Line in the phase 2 portion of that project. So that'll be a really great, unique insight into what's going on there. And then as time allows it, we'll end on some Q&A. But as Randy and others were alluding to, please feel free to shoot some Q&A throughout the presentation if you would like. So I think it would be just important to kind of give you folks an insight into the county from the perspective of where we see it now. So really, some certain things that are strongholds about the county. We've really had a AAA rating for the past 43 years, which I think it really kind of shows the business strength that we have here. 49 years without changes to the Virginia State Corporation income tax. And really how we're structured is to be a partner and a facilitator for the Fairfax County government, really trying to foster that economic success through business retention and expansion efforts on a national and global scale. We have just about over 620,000 jobs in the county, which makes up 20% of the jobs in the DC region. We're really known for being that tech hub, major companies like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, over 8,800 tech companies in Fairfax County alone. So really highly educated workforce as well, over 62% with a bachelor's degree, which I think plays into the strengths of our area. Just kind of giving you folks a snapshot about the Northern Virginia region as a whole and really kind of the powerhouse that we are here. So you're talking about a population of roughly about 2.6 million, which makes up 40% of the DC metro area, a 4.8% unemployment rate in 2019. In Fairfax County, unemployment rate currently as it stands within 2022 is roughly hovering around 2.9%. So well below the national average there at around 6%. Northern Virginia makes up for about 40% of Virginia's GDP. 39% of our companies are minority owned, which is much larger than the US average of 29%. We have over 17,000 technology establishments employing over 240,000 individuals in the region. Over 200 million square feet of office space, and construction has started and continues to go on the Amazon HQ2 project there in Crystal City. Over $889 million of equity investment across 128 deals in 2020. And then, 12 of 16 Fortune 500 companies are headquartered here in the DC metro area. We have about $48.6 billion in federal contract awards, which is more than 47 state totals. So certainly a strength of this region, the tech and federal procurement side of things. Just kind of giving you a quick snapshot in the lens of how we typically work with the business community, varying all the way from our large to small businesses here in the region. So typically what we love to do is connections to funding resources for small businesses, especially connecting them, with our counterparts within the County of Department Economic Initiatives that may be offering small business grants, all the way up to our large corporations who are maybe seeking incentive grants for relocation or workforce training. We are always looking to connect folks with mentors and counselors. We actually have a partnership with SCORE, which is a nonprofit here in the DC region that is the retired executives that are focusing on helping entrepreneurs start and expand their business in the area. So that's a free service that we provide. As we're kind of participating on today, we love to work companies with webinars and events, especially during the pandemic. We had what is called the NOVA EDA, or the Northern Virginia Economic Alliance, where we were doing business recovery efforts through a series of webinars and events. Always looking to help out with market intelligence capabilities. If you just want to know a certain demographic about a submarket, all the way down to maybe finer specifics of what's going on in a business climate in a certain area, we can provide that information there as well. And then through our talent initiative, we've been really taking a keen focus on linking workers with job opportunities here in the area, and also helping our companies find that qualified talent that they are looking for. And then really at the nexus of what we do is that location and facility assistance. Companies that are looking to expand their footprint from a commercial aspect, whether it's a company entering into this market for the first time, or say a company here that is just growing and looking to expand, we're always looking to help out in that arena. And I'll start off by saying all the services that we provide at the EDA are free and confidential too. We're just really here as a business advocate to help your business continually grow.
Hey, Alex, can I just ask real quick for those on the call? I mean, what's the best way to reach out and kind of utilize these services? Go through the website?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say certainly we are very well connected within the chamber. We have a chamber representative at the Reston Chamber. Her name is Ann Rosenblum. So always feel free to connect to her if you're looking to connect through the lens of the chamber. But yes, always feel free to reach out to some of our business investment staff. We typically have on our website, it's sectioned out by company focus. I, for example, focus on financial services and real estate. So if within that arena, please feel free to reach out to me. But if it might be within the lens of government contracting, we have someone on staff, emerging technologies. So we can certainly direct your inquiries wherever it might be needed, even if it's from a small business perspective as well.
I just know a lot of chamber members right now that are scaling and they're looking for people, and so that little square that you had about job opportunities and connecting people would be something I'd be interested in sharing with some of the members.
Certainly, and I'll get a little bit more into the specifics of that later as well. So I will make sure to touch on that and answer any questions that folks might have related to talent too. Just giving you kind of a more direct look into Fairfax County in the lens of our business climate. So we have over 640,000 payroll jobs here in the county, over 152,000 businesses, 8,800 of which are technology businesses. We have over 37,000 payroll establishments and over 260 trade associations. So a lot of depth there within our county lens. We have 10 Fortune 500 companies here in Fairfax County. The most recent to that list, addition-wise, was Beacon Roofing Supply. But as you can see, some of these major players here in the market, a lot of them have a presence within the Reston area. So there is a significant amount of investment from that standpoint. And, companies that we certainly, you see maybe moving into some of the larger development opportunities that we have in the county and Reston at large. But we cater to all types of businesses, obviously, within that lens, where Fairfax County is actually home to 113 of Virginia's 280 companies on the Inc. 5000 list, and the remainder of the Northern Virginia region is home to 86 additional companies. So really kind of fostering that growth with companies that are fast growing and looking to expand their services. So just to kind of give you more of a specific snapshot of Fairfax County businesses, we have over 37,000 employer establishments. And I think a fact that not a lot of people maybe recognize that over 95% of our businesses are classified as small business, so 50 employees or less. Those customers typically include individuals, so a lot of B2C, some B2B, and then you can imagine the government procurement aspect of that also comprises a decent chunk. And then we also have about 114 non-employer establishments here in the region as well. Kind of breaking it down, employment by industry sector, to give you a sense of really kind of what are the strong, industry sectors within the county. We have over 640,000 total jobs, 26% of which are concentrated in the professional, scientific, and technical services. Really the largest concentration, Fairfax County has that of all large U.S. counties. It's a really strength of our region, and I think why you see a lot of expansion within some of our more developed markets like Reston and Tyson's within that specific industry sector. But as you can see, retail trade obviously comprises a decent amount of that as well. And I think we're all aware over the last 2 years on how that sector has been greatly affected. Certainly something that we're monitoring and keeping an eye on from an employment perspective. A lot of those folks, for example, over the last 2 years, maybe have, skilled, upskilled and maybe looked at other professions as a result of that. So getting more back into the professional, scientific, and technical services lens. But, I know the county is keenly focused on that and are looking at creating programs to really help our retail and hospitality businesses that have been greatly affected over the last several years. But, a really diversified economy, as you can see there. We do have folks that are, spread out across a wide concentration of industries. And I think that speaks to the opportunities that are based here in the region as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our business diversity lens, though, because I think this is one of the important facets of the Fairfax County area. The majority of our businesses.
Hey, Alex, real quick, I think your mic is fading in and out. I don't know.
Oh, sorry about that. Is that a bit better?
That's a lot better. Thanks.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, sorry. I might have just been standing a bit too far away. Like I was saying, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our business diversity lens. The majority of our companies kind of fall within this bucket, and we are constantly looking at ways to, help our businesses out in this arena. So we have over 8K employer firms that are minority owned. So you're talking over 85,000 employees in the region that are working for those types of businesses, 33% of the employers in the region. Woman-owned firms, that's about 5,000, 53,000 employees there, which is about 22% of the workforce there. And then veteran-owned firms, about 2,000 veteran-owned firms, 26,000 employees, 8% of employers in the region. So you're talking almost 53% of the employment in the region is concentrated within these three buckets. So it's certainly something that we cater to. As you can imagine, a lot of those folks within that lens are looking to do work with the federal government from that standpoint. And I think that's why you see such a large concentration there. We're number one for the most minority woman and veteran-owned firms in the DMV region, more so than DC and Maryland. And we are the number one East Coast metro where minority entrepreneurs are succeeding, and actually third in the US within that scope.
I had a question for you, Alex. Sorry to interrupt, but when you give, like the data of like 2,000 employer firms and things like that, from a business owner standpoint, do we have access to this data? Like here are all the companies that are in this area through, the Fairfax Economic Development.
Yeah, so while we don't have the data of every single employer kind of focused within that section, what we do is we work with a lot of those employers in the region to highlight. So if we have a direct business connection with them, we're working directly with them. Typically what we'll do is try and envelop them in our services. That way, for example, we have a fact sheet that highlights veteran-owned firms here in the area. And if companies are working with us and they see it as a good value proposition to be included on that list, we'll then include them. If we're, say, working with a company that picks up a contract award and would like to get more awareness around it, we can feature that in our eBird newsletter. So there are ways that we can get exposure to certain companies in that area. So we can tell you who some of the major players within those specific segments are. I just don't unfortunately have a list of every single business, I guess you could say, that fits under that lens.
Perfect.
Alex, do you guys still have a fact sheet on Reston? Because I know
Yes,
you do
absolutely.
different- Okay.
Yeah, so we have a profile on Reston as we do each of our submarkets here in the county. So that gives you kind of little business statistics on who are some of the major regional employers, as well as kind of what demographics look like from a residential and business standpoint in that specific submarket. So happy to share that with the group at large, maybe after the presentation today. And I've also incorporated some of that publication here in the kind of sticking within the business diversity lens, and this is circling more back to kind of how we help the small business community. I thought it was really important to, kind of highlight how we work with businesses here in the region. So, from a business planning perspective, we are always constantly trying to help companies expand their offerings. We host a bi-monthly workshop. We've been doing it virtually, but traditionally we've done it in our office in Tysons, where we allow anyone to attend for free that's looking to start or expand their business here in the county. And what we do is we go over business startup basics, the various licensing and permits you would need to expand your business in the county, what financing resources might be available to you from a local and state perspective, as well as connecting you with the right folks in the community to make sure that you're squared away in terms of expanding your business. So we do that, like I said, on a bi-monthly basis. Our next one will be in May, and I always encourage anyone to attend there as well. And if you're a small business that's grown in the area, we always look for unique ways to highlight that as well. So we typically involve a business here in the county that has grown organically to kind of showcase and tell their story. So, if you would love to get involved in that arena as well, always happy to see what we could do to connect you.
That link is on your site to attend the
Correct. Exactly. And, even though we put on our own content ourselves, we're working in really heavy accordance with our community partners here in the area too. Like I alluded to with SCORE, they provide free mentor and counseling services for any individual that's looking to expand their business. The Community Business Partnership's a nonprofit based in Springfield that offers business incubation and acceleration services. And they also have a business finance center with their own microloan program and various other funds and mechanisms to, jumpstart your business. So I couldn't recommend, that a group more highly and reaching out to them in that lens. And also from a financing perspective, we work pretty closely with the US SBA, the CIT, which is now, down in the Richmond area, but as you can remember, used to be here, the program, at least physically within the Loudoun County, Fairfax border there at the CIT building. Business Finance Group, we also work a lot with our local banking institutions to secure funds for companies that are maybe looking to, collect funding or secure potential assets for their business. So we work a lot kind of, in coordination with the county as well as the small business community as well. I wanted to kind of also highlight the strength of our technology sector here. In addition to government contracting, I'd say technology is a large driver for our economic development and diversity here in the county. We have over 8,700 tech firms here in the county alone. That equates to just about over 150,000 plus tech jobs. So you're talking 1 in 4 jobs in Fairfax County are enveloped within that tech sector, And I think, that kind of speaks to the power of development too. A lot of the development we've seen specifically in the Reston area along that silver line into Tysons and other areas of the county. Usually at the doorstop of those metros is mixed use development with anchor commercial space there. And a lot of these folks you'll see kind of enveloped within that because they're the growing companies that we're, really seeing here in the county. But again, as much as we have kind of that strength in the technology sector, I'd say government contracting in federal procurement is really an important asset to this area as well. Just in fiscal year 2020, which runs from our calendar, July to June, we had over $29.4 billion in contract awards, $15.3 billion of which was went to defense agencies, and then 14 billion to civilian agencies. So, quite a bit of disparity there, quite a bit of similarities there in terms of what they're seeing in contract dollars. 45% of contracts were awarded in Virginia. We made up for 45% of that. 5% of all federal procurement contracts enveloped were, just here in Fairfax County alone. And as you can see, contract awards, the small business lens is really the one that's seeing the majority of that contract award at just about 9.5 billion. And then minority, veteran, service disabled, veteran, and women-owned firms are also collecting a large share of that as well. So I think that really kind of showcases the strength of our business community from the small business lens, as well as kind of that diversity lens, that those are the companies that are really, going after and getting those procurement dollars. But also wanted to touch on our international aspect as well. I think this is kind of a little unknown fact about Fairfax County that we really cater to and are really proud of highlighting. And I think it speaks to our diverse business economy as well. We have over 430 plus foreign-owned firms here in Fairfax County, representing over 49 countries. We have offices ourselves, 5 offices overseas. We're in Berlin, Bangalore and Mumbai, London, LA, as well as Seoul and Tel Aviv. And we really strategically see ourselves within these markets just because of that international expansion opportunity. We have a lot of firms, for example, that see this area as a opportune place for expansion. And as a result of that, we see it as an added benefit to have folks within those specific markets that can actually attend to those companies' business needs as they look to expand in this area. And really, I'd say why we have that kind of international advantage and why we have such a large concentration. You're talking about 3 airports that serve major international and domestic markets, Dulles, BWI, and Reagan as well. It's the 4th largest market, for that. And then you have a 60% of the population of the U.S. within a 2-hour flight. So I think that's really advantageous for us, and it strategically places us in a way where those international companies see Fairfax County in the Northern Virginia region as a valuable investment opportunity.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I want to interrupt again. Sorry. How, and you might get into this, we're so close to Loudoun County, right? There's so many other counties. So I don't want to say how, I know you guys play well together and nice together, but I mean, yeah, these areas are, service the entire region. So how do you interact with our friends in Loudoun? And oh, by the way, your mic is still kind of going in and out a little bit. So I don't know if it's on your lapel or where you have it, but just be aware.
Oh, I appreciate it. Is this a little bit better?
It is. I think it's when you move, it kind of doesn't pick it up as well. But anyway.
I'll make sure to stay close. Yes. So that's a good point, Angela. And really what we've done to tackle that, I'd say the Amazon HQ deal was really illuminating in the sense that, it certainly came here within the region, but, Victor Hoskins, our CEO, I think he was already really looking at regionalism before that, but that deal really kind of showed that we need, if we're going to, pursue large projects, large development opportunities, we really need to be working more hand in hand as a region. And so we have formed the NOVA EDA, which is the Northern Virginia Economic Development Alliance. And essentially what that is, it's an amalgamation of all the various EDOs here in the Northern Virginia region, working together kind of under one mission to support business development growth here in the county. I'd say obviously the pandemic accelerated that as well. We were talking about a lot of cross collaboration on business recovery efforts, as well as how can we better position ourselves on some more challenging efforts that maybe we've never participated in, like affordable housing, placemaking, and other things of that nature. So I think that's kind of coming underneath a larger regional lens, which that NOVA EDA is really trying to tackle there. So agreed with you. We do work closely with a lot of these counties, and there is a lot of overlap there. But I'd say at the same token, we've been working closer than ever with those counties, realizing that, we need to kind of promote that sense of regionalism, and it, raises all flags, so to speak. But just to kind of give you folks a sense of the growth we've seen from an international perspective as well, these are the number of non-US firms in Fairfax County, tracking all the way from 79 when we first came into existence as an EPA to 2021. So you're talking a growth of 17 all the way back then to 430 now. So it's a large concentration of companies that we certainly cater to and are always looking for that international expansion lens to focus on to diversify our economy. But wanted to drill more into specifics about Fairfax County as well. So you're talking about a county that houses over 1.15 million residents. 31.4% of that population is foreign born, so a diverse economy. 62% have a bachelor's degree or higher here in the county, so a very well-educated workforce as well, and a median household income of around 128,000. So high-paying jobs, and certainly enveloped within that as well. To give you kind of a sense of the workforce lens, so we're at about 3.4 million workers here in Fairfax County, 104,000 degrees within a bachelor's or a doctorate, and 88,000 at least holding a certificate of completion within that. High demand occupations that we see here in the county, software development, networking, computer admins, information security analysts, computer systems engineers and architects, management analysts. So a lot within that lens of IT and technology. I also wanted to highlight some of our higher education capabilities here in the area as well. We have over 60 plus colleges and universities in the DC metro region alone, 12 of which at least operate or are based in Fairfax County. Our enrollment exceeds over 500,000, and about 90,000 degrees are conferred annually here in the region. And just to give you kind of a lens of some of the major players in this market from an educational standpoint, there are some of those folks that we work in close accordance with our talent initiative, as well as various other amounts of programming. And speaking of our talent initiative, this is really something that we've been developing over the last 2 years, and would love to involve anyone that would be potentially interested in our career fair programming and other means of talent development that we're trying to help spur here in the region. So we have a talent website. You'll see here, this is the landing page. It's called workinnorthernvirginia.com. And essentially what it is, it's a free resource for any business that's looking to hire here in the region to post any existing or future openings that you may have. And there's a few ways to do that through the web. But another great resource that we have there is employer resources. So we've curated a list of state and local resources that are focused on apprenticeship opportunities, internship opportunities, creating pipelines with college universities, all the way down to community volunteering programs. So there's a wealth of resources at the business community's disposal to get further involved within the community from a talent perspective, as well as getting further connected with our universities and colleges here in the area as well. And I'll make sure to share the appropriate links for that as well afterwards. But again, that's a free resource for our businesses to highlight some of the things that they have going on from an employment standpoint. And we've also been running a series of career fairs on a quarterly basis. So we've been really targeting industry sector specific focuses for businesses. For example, we have one coming up on May 12th that's going to be focused on veterans and military career spouses, and it's going to be in accordance with the Fort Belvoir Transition Assistance Program that they have down there at their base. But essentially what we're doing there, we also have a virtual component that we're offering up to businesses who are maybe looking to hire folks specifically within those concentrations. And like I said, we're doing that on a quarterly basis. We did about 29 career fairs last year, not only through ourselves, but through our partner networks here in the region. So there's always an opportunity to get involved from an employment standpoint, and we're happy to provide that assistance where needed. Just to give you kind of a sense of the investment, from a capital investment and venture capital standpoint, we had over 3.3 billion in federal R&D contract awards in calendar year 2020. That's 63.8 million in small business innovation and technology grants, over 478 million in capital investments. And then you're talking about 113 companies on that Inc. 5000 list and almost 100 plus federal labs in the DMV region. So quite a bit of collaboration, quite a bit of federal R&D dollars headed our way as well, innovation grants. So a lot of, focus on the small businesses and how can we, support them and then also support our emerging businesses through these programs. But to give you kind of a sense of the commercial real estate market here in the county too, we're talking about 119.2 million square feet of office space, 39.1 million in industrial and flex. We're the number 2 suburban office market here in the US. Over 119.2 million in countywide office space inventory, over 101 million of which is occupied office space. Our vacancy rate is hovering right now at about 14.6%. Across the entire county. We have about 50 million square feet of space in the development pipeline, however. And then we're the 15th most active office construction market nationally at just about 2.7 square feet under construction. 11 Fortune 500 companies, and like I was alluding to, 113 of which are on that Inc. 5000 list. But, we certainly understand that real estate is ever changing. And we realize that companies are, especially from the small business lens, are, always needing kind of alternative options, so to speak, within the county, maybe for commercial space. So we have a pretty wide array of co-working facilities here in the county as well, over 500,000 square feet spanning across 35 locations, a good portion of which is concentrated in the Reston area around the Wheelie Metro stop and other areas. But just to kind of wrap up in terms of the Fairfax County EDA lens, here's some of the services, again, that I touched on that we typically provide to the business community. So looking forward to maybe interacting with each of you within that lens based on your specific needs. But, really trying to get into hand, I wanted to highlight some of what we're seeing in the Northern Virginia office market from, the most recent perspective. So this is data that I've been gathering from the first quarter of 2022. And, where I'd like to start is really kind of following a disruptive 2021. The Northern Virginia office market is posted a sluggish start to 2022. I think private sector tenants recorded the lowest level of leasing since the onset of the pandemic, roughly at around 786,000 square feet. And that's a 50% quarter over quarter decline. I think the uncertainty around the Omicron variant is really kind of the reason that we saw that trickle in. But as we kind of push forward into the spring, summer timeframe, we're hoping to see that turnover a little bit. The headline metrics in Q1, though, were really driven by 2 large tenant consolidations. And I thought that was, really paramount to notice because those are consolidations that are occurring in the Reston market. Fannie Mae and Volkswagen, they vacated more than 1.2 million square feet across Northern Virginia as they moved into the newly developed Reston Next development, which is about 922,000 square feet. Despite the rise in overall vacancy, though, small tenants have really continued to re-engage with the market after giving up space earlier in the pandemic. So tenants size 10,000 square feet and below, they contributed just roughly about 21,000 square feet of positive net absorption in Q1 2022. And that's the second consecutive quarter of occupancy gains for the group. So we're really starting to see that sentiment come back with our smaller business users that maybe have a little less space to control, a little less overhead in terms of some of their costs associated with the space. So that's encouraging to see that come through. Nationally, though, and I think this is something that we're seeing here in the county, sublease activity is continuing to rise, and it rose in nearly all major U.S. markets during the quarter. Again, that Omicron surge really kind of delayed return to office plans there. I think in Northern Virginia alone, sublease activity rose about 16% over the prior quarter, and that was a record high of about 5.2 million square feet that's out for sublease right now, more than double what we were seeing at the pre-pandemic level. So a lot of companies, I think, are still kind of in that wait and see mode, but they might have a lot of space, for example, that they're currently enveloped in that they can see as opportunistic to, maybe sublease for a portion while they continue to think about that. But as tenants are seeking move-in ready products with desirable space and building features, high quality sublease options are seeing an increase in demand. So really those folks that are looking for an amount of space, but maybe putting more emphasis on newer space, more amenitized space that can certainly suit their needs a bit better than, say, their old commercial Class B space.
Alex, can you talk to like all of the shared office space that have opened up and people and smaller businesses are acquiring or occupying?
Yeah, absolutely. To that end, that's certainly, was a trend that maybe we thought would take on in terms of, seeing the small business folks go in there, but then also maybe that hub and spoke model, companies that have large corporate headquarters that have an employee base that's living out, say, in parts of Loudoun County or even Reston. Do they kind of use those alternative office spaces as a means to give their employees a space to work, but not have to come all the way into their main HQ? Those trends are we're still really learning what work patterns are setting in, so to speak. What our companies are thinking, are these hybrid models, for example, something that companies are seeing as more permanent versus kind of more of a temporary solution until they can think about what they want to do with their commercial space? So, alternative office spaces are certainly seeing a rise. I think, I work with several of them and they're seeing a rise in terms of occupancy because those small businesses are maybe looking for more flexible options that don't tie them into a long-term lease. So I think that's certainly something the county is keeping an eye on as well, on how can we, help support those businesses as well.
Yeah, I just saw a lot pop up, in the last couple of years, and then with COVID, et cetera, it seems like some of them either moved or transitioned. So I was curious, your perspective. Thanks.
No problem. And then I just wanted to kind of give you a sense too of what development opportunity is going on, specifically in the county. And I think you'll see the majority of which is actually concentrated in the Reston market. Kind of speaks to the strength of the Reston market right now. So these are, as you'll see here at the top, properties that were delivered since the start of the pandemic. So roughly about 1.1 million square feet was delivered during the first quarter at 1950 and 2000 Opportunity Way in Reston. That's the Reston Next development. Fannie Mae, for example, is taking the larger building, 2000 Opportunity Way, at about 644,000 square feet. That is fully 100% leased. While Volkswagen, their new North American headquarters will be situated at 1950 Opportunity Way, of which they've taken about 69% of that lease themselves. So there's about 129,000 square feet that's remaining for lease within that building. But in terms of what we have under construction here in the county, roughly about just 836,000 of square feet remain under construction, all fully available for lease at the end of Q1 2022. However, one of those properties, which falls in Reston, off of Reston Metro Plaza. And I believe within that, the 360,000 square feet project that you see there in Tysons is slated for completion in Q2 2022. That'll be the first new office development in Tysons since the Borough project back in 2019. But then kind of getting into the lens of our development projects along the Silver Line. Oh, sorry. Wanted to give you folks just a quick economic overview of the Reston market as well. You're talking about a market of just about over 67,000 jobs specific to that Reston submarket. 5 Fortune 500 headquarters are located within Reston. You're talking about an office inventory of roughly about 20.7 million square feet, with a direct office vacancy rate of about 14.1%. As I alluded to, we've seen about 1.1 million square feet of office delivered in that market just in this year alone, with about 26 million square feet in the mixed use pipeline. So that's commercial residential, and retail. Some recent announcements that we've seen in the area, Microsoft, CACI, Peraton, as well as StarKist has relocated their corporate headquarters from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, here to the Reston area. And then here I wanted to highlight some developments planned around the Fairfax County Silver Line stations. And I'm really excited to share this tool. Like I was saying, this is the first time the EDA has had the opportunity to share this. We recently brought someone on staff to really beef up, I guess you could say, our GIS map capabilities. So this is going to be something that's going live on our website in several weeks, but this is going to be an opportunity for the community to really get an insight into what's going on from a development perspective here in the county along the Silver Line, and really immersive as well. So for those of you who don't know, the Silver Line is slated, phase 2 is slated to open next year, and it will include 3 new metro stations in Reston and Herndon before reaching Dulles International Airport. That'll include Reston Town Center, the station there, which will be next to the mixed-use development. They'll have a Herndon station and an Innovation Center station, which sits on the border of Fairfax County and Loudoun County. You'll see at the foot of that a lot of mixed-use development, however, some of which I'll highlight today. So I thought it'd be pertinent to start kind of on the Herndon side of things. So if you click on this link, for example, it'll bring you right to the parcel where this project is going to be located. So you'll see here Innovation Center South, that is going to be at the Innovation Center Metro Station. Rocks Engineering and Penzance are the owner developer on that project. It's about a total build out of 1.6 million square feet, 500,000 of which is situated for office. And the real anchor tenant there is Brightview Senior Living. So they're going to be creating 222 units of 4-star mid-rise apartments, and that's expected to deliver in February of 2023. And as you'll see here, here are some shots of the specific specs in the drawing of the property. So, quite a large portion allocated to parking, for example, a lot of that open walkability concept, activation to ground floor retail. Those are all paramount within that project. As you'll see here, more ground floor retail and giving you kind of an access point into what it looks like from metro proximity. Moving on to the next project, we have Arrowbrook Center, which you'll see here is on the back of Sunrise Valley, right at the corner of Centerville Road and Arrowbrook Center. This will also be at the Innovation Center Metro Station. Carbon Thompson Development is the owner developer there. About 2.3 million square feet is the total build out, with about 640,000 allocated to office. The really kind of key to highlight here, I think, within this project is a 274 affordable housing unit that's expected to be delivered in December 2022. Now, that's a big emphasis point in the county, is to create more affordable housing options within our region. And I believe there's about 22,000 square feet of ground floor retail and office expected to be delivered by December 2022 as well. So you're looking at the end of the calendar year for this project. But again, kind of giving you insights into that ground floor street level activation, what they see from a residential standpoint as well. Also kind of more into that retail and hospitality lens also. The next project is Woodland Park East. So this is getting more into the Herndon Monroe area. So this will be at the metro stop that will be right at the corner of 267 and Monroe Street. This is a Tishman Speyer and Pinkard Group owner development project, roughly about 1.6 million square feet, half of which, or 560,000 of which, is allocated towards office. One interesting fact to note about this development, they actually delivered about 375 units. It's known as the Ian luxury apartments, and that was delivered at the end of Q4 2021. So currently active right now. And Woodland Park is expected to deliver 679 units of 3-star low-rise apartments by the June 2022 timeframe. So you're starting to see more development finish up near this project. Here's kind of an insight into that ground floor activation, as well as some of the residential components of the area. And you'll see here public park space as well that will be allocated for that. There's the toll road adjacent you can see, and then this will be the development along that line as well. Getting into the Reston area, which I know is certainly paramount for this group. I'll just quickly highlight RTC West. So that will be right there, fixated at the town center. That's a JBG Smith owner developer project. Very large project, 1.3 million square feet, with around 700,000 square feet allocated to office. No particular timeline on this project. I know the pandemic has really kind of thrown a wrench into their expected timeline, but I can say that they have programmed it for about 283 units of 4-star high-rise apartment condos. We're just still kind of trying to get a sense of when that project will be completed. But as you can see here are certain city or certain projections of what that ground floor retail will look like. I'm sure if you've driven along the toll road, you can kind of see the development going on within that specific parcel, kind of mirroring what they have going on throughout the Reston Town Center area. And then, you'll see that anchor tenant with a ground floor Wegmans as well. And here is a spec drawing of the completed building. Next, I'll highlight RTC Next, which is also going to be at the Reston Town Center. You'll see that right there, adjacent of 267. That the owner developer on that is Boston Properties, and I'd say this is kind of the largest space that we have here in the Reston area, just about 4.8 million square feet, 2.2 of which is allocated for office. And that is going to connect Reston Town Center with the future metro station. That is the big goal there within that project. And as you can see, a lot of street level activation there, that ground floor retail aspect. I believe they're planning on developing, a series of retail kind of components within that. You may have seen that little walkway as you drive through the toll road area. And then here's kind of a more aerial shot of what that project will look like. Some green space on top of the buildings. You can see there's the metro connectivity with the hope that we can, create that walkability right into that space. Then I will also highlight Haley Rise, another big project that we have going on here within the county, specifically the Reston area. So that's a Brookfield Properties development. You're talking about 4.1 million square feet of mixed use development, 1.5 million square feet of new office, 1,700 residential units within this project, 353 units delivering, known as the Edmond, will sit atop that future Wegmans space opening in 2023. I think they've allocated about 380 square feet of retail within that. So you see a lot of green space. That was really kind of the emphasis point behind this project, that connectivity to the metro and walkability, activated with, a lot of green space on top of certain buildings as well. So really bullish on that project and what it can mean for the Reston area. And then Reston Row, which is at the Wheelie Reston East Station. That's a Comstock development, just about 1.3 million square feet, 640,000 of which is office. And same ownership as Reston Station. And adjacent to that project includes Qualtrics, ICF's new headquarters, Rolls-Royce, and Google. So really a heavy bevy concentration of some of our corporate headquarters here in the area. A 290 key JW Marriott with 94 condos is under construction there, 302 units within that space. About 544,000 square feet of office is between the two buildings and 70,000 square feet of retail. Excavation and underground parking is being put in place right now for this specific block. So really kind of seeing a lot of progress within this project, just to give you a sense of some of the scapes that are outlooking this. And then lastly, I'll just touch quickly on Reston Midline. So Reston Midline is also going to be at the Wheelie Reston East Metro Station. That's a JBG Smith project, about 1.8 million square feet, 259 of which is office space. And then 115 townhomes are under construction at this particular project. 504 unit mid-rise apartment is planned, as well as a 250,000 square feet of retail. So a lot going on within that specific time frame. Just kind of at the behest of time, I will make sure to stop there and kind of open it up to maybe any questions that folks have within that sense. But again, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I didn't see a space for the commanders to come to Reston. Is that not going to happen? I hear they're up for grabs.
Maybe we could push all the traffic towards Lapin and then get them to, maybe set up business operations here.
Good idea. Sorry, Randy, go ahead.
Well, thanks, Alex. That has been a ton of information. Awesome. Thumbs up, and thanks so much for doing it. Hopefully you guys have been able to glean a ton of information that can be helpful for your business, or at least, reassuring that we're in an area of growing population, growing business opportunities, and we can all take advantage of them. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And yeah, I'll leave my contact information here, but always please feel free to reach out to me. I'll also share that with Randy and Angela. So if you want to reach out directly, you're able to do so. And then I'll share some of those links that I discussed as well to give you some further insight on how you might be able to get involved.
From the very beginning, the strength of the organization was volunteers who were giving their time and energy to make the airport all that it could be.
For 55 years, we've been advocates for transportation, infrastructure for the airport and the region.
I have an article that's in the memoirs of Hal Launders, and it says rail to Dulles in 72, believe it or not. Look how long it's taken.
It wasn't just the federal funds that were involved, local funds had to be involved. So it was a question of how was Fairfax and eventually Loudon going to pay their share.
The landowners around Tyson's Corner finally realized that they needed rail through Tyson's.
And they came up with a special tax district for all the businesses that own property along where the rail was going to be.
That concept went on to phase 2 of Dulles Rail with the Dulles Corridor tax district.
We worked with other organizations to encourage continued support from the business community and the state of Virginia in their participation.
We spent time in Richmond lobbying for what we were trying to accomplish. We did position papers on local and statewide issues and testified before local and state agencies and the legislature.
Going down to Congress and meeting with congressmen and women down there to try to make sure that they heard our voices and knew how important this was.
The Committee for Dulles has become an important part of the community. Elected officials rely on us, the public relies on us. We're able to see issues and educate people about land use decisions, economic development, and other growth potentials for the airport, which are going to benefit all of us.
Well, it's been a terrifically consistent in its advocacy over time, supporting both the airport, rail access, road access to the airport, the growth of cargo traffic, and the growth of passenger traffic.
During my term, they were just beginning or just in the middle of construction for the phase 1 of the interchange project on Route 28. That's something to celebrate. We worked on that for years. Now that project is complete.
We worked very closely with the Smithsonian to try to do whatever we could to ensure that the Air and Space Museum become located in the Dulles Corridor.
The official announcement of the building of the Air and Space Museum was done in May of 1999 by Admiral Ingen, the head of the Air and Space Museum, and he did it at a Committee for Dulles luncheon. In fact, there was someone that was in attendance when it was over that donated $1 million to the Air and Space Museum that day.
We have maintained or gained international recognition from markets outside of our country. Most famously is the Frankfurt Airport.
We met with teams from Geneva, Switzerland, who wanted to know how a community organization can help the airport. We also met with teams from Paris, France, about how to connect two airports and citizen engagement and public advocacy to the benefit of the economic development of a nation's capital's airports.
When you look at the airport itself, it's tough to think about 12,000 acres as having a sense of community. It's an awful large area. It's a huge amount of land area, infrastructure, employees, but every event that is held either by the authority, by the airport, or through the committee events, you really get a sense of pride and contribution to the community.
Our events are there to promote and foster the growth of Dulles Airport and to keep the communities aware and educate them on the future economic development of the airport and its environs.
If it's a luncheon, or if it's a gala, or if it's another event, you'll have a significant representation of the various industries in our region, and it gives us an opportunity to share not only what we do, but how we can help them.
I asked the question, is there any way we could leverage this group to help the community? And that's when the Committee for Dulles Community Outreach was born.
Number one priority would be to give scholarships to deserving high school seniors.
Every year we give 15, 20 plus scholarships to students, all who are connected to Dulles Airport.
And then we also supported the Interfaith Chapel and the Travelers Aid organizations at the airport.
100% of the money that the outreach committee raises goes back to the community.
Whether it's the Community Outreach Scholarship Fund, or the run on the runway, or the plane pool, you really get a sense that this is a tight community that supports itself.
The relevance of the Committee for Dulles is more important today than ever because of the growth in international business and the growth in data centers in this area. We have become an even bigger economic engine, and not just the airport, but the services that are around the airport and all of the national and international companies that have headquartered here.
Okay, here we are. We've accomplished so much. What is it that we want to accomplish working with the airport? How do we move forward as a partner with the airport?
The pandemic, in my mind, forced us to be more creative, forced us to be more innovative, and to move forward with the way that we touched the community.
Obviously, with the pandemic over the last years, there's been some erosion in passenger loads, passenger frequency, flights, and what have you. So there's the opportunity to try to continue the path upward to the ultimate capacity of the airport, which I'm told is in the range of 55 million passengers per year.
And as you have more planes, it can impact residential areas to a greater extent. So we are a strong supporter of making sure that our local communities do not enact land use decisions that put people in the flight path of oncoming or departing airplanes. That's something that we try to work on, as well as the ground transportation for access to and from the airport beyond rail.
We still see a continuing role for Committee for Dulles. Someone who's looking at the airport and always trying to think, how can this get better? How can we improve Dulles to become part of an even bigger part of the Washington economy?
My expectation is the Committee for Dulles will go on for many years to come.